Welcome to In Pursuit 360. Today, we're going to be talking about communication in law enforcement. So a lot of times when they ask that question, what's your greatest strength and what's your greatest weakness? A lot of people, when it comes to their strength, tend to want to lean towards communication. The question is, do you know why? Or what makes an effective communicator? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's get into it. Welcome to In Pursuit 360, and here we go again with another video trying to help you land that job in law enforcement where you belong. So let me start off with this time, because usually I leave it towards the end. And yes, I have stuff laying all around here, so I may lean to get some stuff, but that's okay. Just being mindful. All right. When I hit 5,000 subscribers, and we're getting awfully close as a team, right? And that's what law enforcement is always working as a team. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers. When we hit 5,000 subscribers, I will be giving away at least one of my challenge coins. So there you go. It says In Pursuit 360 on the front. It's got the Motors logo and a K9 logo down here on the back, on the bottom. And on the other side, it's got the Pentagon police badge. And then it's got the 4 core beliefs of the Stafford County Sheriff's Office, where I spent my first 13 years in law enforcement. Great department, by the way, and I think they're still hiring. It says Stafford County, Virginia. Go check them out. All right, and also I'm going to tell you that if you're getting into law enforcement, even if you're not getting into law enforcement, let's just say you like shooting, right? It's always good to practice. Well, what's a way to practice? The best practice you can get is dry firing in your home. I just so happen to be an NRA law enforcement instructor, an NRA general instructor, and other firearms instructor certifications out there. I'm going to tell you, go to Next Level Training. I'm going to put the link down below. Use the code INPURSUIT059 and get 10% off. This is a great training tool for firearms, great for dry firing, practicing your trigger press, right? Your trigger press and then your reset. Hear it, click, press, click, press. No reason to ride that trigger all the way out. All right, so that's it. Let's go into communication. Communication in law enforcement. What are some things that are important if you answer a question, what's your greatest strength? Well, my ability to communicate. Well, what does that mean? What exactly does that mean? So let's talk about, I have notes here, sorry. The art of effective communication, right? So communicating isn't just key in relationships, right? It's really, it's the be-all end-all of being in law enforcement. It's the be-all end-all of being a police officer. You've got to be able to communicate. Well, what is communication? Communication isn't just sending a message, right? I want to communicate that they need to stay still, right? It's being able to send a message and have others understand and receive it and understand it. So not only do you have to be able to send it, but you have to make sure that they're able to receive it. So when you deliver information as a police officer, you've got to know that you're reaching your audience. Are you reaching the person that you're trying to talk to? And are they understanding it, right? You've got to show that they're understanding it. So communication is huge. If you want to say your strength is communication, then you better make sure you understand what communication means. It's not just sending, but it's sending and receiving information, which means as a law enforcement officer, you have to have open ears. You have to be willing to hear people out. I could not stand going on a call and have an officer tell somebody, you need to go stand over there. But I just want to tell you what, go stand over there. And they start yelling at him, right? It's like he wants to tell you something. You can very simply go, you know what? I know you want to tell me something, but for right now, for safety purposes, go stand over there, and then I'm going to come talk to you, and then you can tell me what you need to tell me. I'm going to listen to you, but for now, for safety, I need you to go stand over there, right? Why not take the time and explain that to somebody? Why do you have to yell, right? Why do you have to be a butthead? Sorry, there are some people out there that are buttheads. They wear the little badge, and suddenly they think that they are just, I'm the boss. You are the boss of that scene. However, you're also a human being. And these people are human beings. No matter what they've done, no matter what law they've broken, it's not up to you to treat them like trash. You have to treat them with some level of dignity in order to get safely through whatever it is that you're in. What you feel about them should never come into play. All right, so anyway, back to communication. right? So you got to make sure that they understand what you're saying, what you want them to do, and you have to listen to understand where they're coming from. You may very well decide, if you take a second to listen to what it is that led to the situation, you may go, it's still wrong, but I kind of see where they're coming from, right? You're still going to take the action you're going to take, but maybe you'll treat them a little bit differently after that. Take the time to listen, understand, process, right? All right. So, which really kind of leads into, kind of talked about this already, right? Tailoring your response. So tailoring your response in your interview. Again, this is all about interview, right? And communication. This isn't about just dealing with people on the street. This is during your interview. All right. So you've got to be able to tailor your response. You have to listen to the question, right? And then understand how to apply your response. So like I said, if they're asking you about a time that you've ever been in conflict with an individual or witnessed conflict, and how did you handle it? Well, if you've never been in law enforcement, you may just instantly say, well, I don't know. I'm not a cop. I've never had any kind of conflict. I'll bet you have. I'll bet you have. I'll bet you've had one with conflict with a significant other. You ever been dating somebody and things aren't going so well? They want to go to the movies and you want to go to McDonald's or something. You know what I'm saying? There's always some conflict out there somewhere that you can relate to, but you have to be able to tailor your answer to the question. So the conflict, where can you pull that from? Can you pull it from a part-time job you had? Can you pull it from a full-time job? Maybe it was a family situation. You go to a family reunion, you got two family members that are starting to get into it and they've been at it for years. Did you step in and do something to help resolve that conflict or get involved in it, right? So you have to be able to tailor your answer to what they're asking. They want to know if you've ever been involved in something where you've had to communicate your way out of it or communicate your way through it. So that's what they're looking for. So you have to be able to tailor your answer to the question. You have to be able to tailor your answer to the question of what's your greatest strength and what's your greatest weakness. Tailor your answer to the question, what do you think about community policing? What do you think about law enforcement in today's society based on what the media reports are? What do you think about the idea of police excessive force? You have to be able to tailor your answers to their questions. How is that going to work? So, yes, make sure you can tailor your answers to the questions. So let's talk about active listening. Active listening is huge, right? So remember, I said communication is not just sending a message, but it's also being able to receive it. So active listening is, as a good example, is when you tell me something during the interview, they ask you a question. Tell us about a time when, and I always use the conflict one. Tell us about a time when at work, or tell us about any time in your past that you've been in a situation that deals with conflict between two people, and then how did you handle it and what were the results? So to show that you're an active listener, you can say something like this. Well, the one time, I can think of several times that I've dealt with conflict between two individuals at work or two individuals at school or two individuals whatever. So I recall a time when there was a conflict between two individuals while I was at work. And after observing it for a while, what I did to help resolve that is so do you see, I'm repeating the question back, showing that I've listened while I'm also formulating my answer. So active listening. Active listening, the way that you get people to understand that you are listening and understanding is by repeating or paraphrasing some of the question back to them or some of the information that they've just given you. If you even ask for clarification on something, so for the conflict, I'm sorry, I'm not sure I heard right. Did you specifically want something from a workplace event or a personal family event or a school event? Which is it that you prefer out of those three? Well, if you have one out of a workplace, why don't we go with that? Okay, so a conflict at a workplace that I was involved in, or I witnessed, or I had to deal with was active listening, right? So even when you ask the question, you're saying, hey, I heard all this in your initial question, but I'm looking for some clarity. This is what I heard. Now, can you please provide clarity on where you want me to go? That's active listening. There's nothing wrong with asking a question. Make sure that you're asking a question in a way that shows them that you're actually paying attention. You're just trying to make sure to get some clarification in something. All right, this is going to show them, again, you're talking about your strength is your communication. These are things that they're going to be looking for during your interview to see about your ability to communicate. Is this truly one of your strengths? These are all part of that. And let's talk about, STAR, the STAR method, right? So STAR is situation, task, action, and result. Think about this when you're answering your questions, when you're talking about that conflict thing, right? What was the situation? What was the task that you were involved in at the time? So were you at work, or were you at a family reunion? What were you doing at that time, right? What action did you take? And what was the result of that action? How did the whole thing turn out? So if you look at starring, right, when you go to answer these questions, then that kind of takes in everything, right? It shows the active listening. It shows that your ability to communicate, and it goes through all of that. So that's it. That's ways of demonstrating your ability to communicate during an interview. So anyway, yeah, communication, it's key. It really is. It's key to being able to perform as a law enforcement officer, and it's key in being able to get hired as one. You've got to be able to communicate. And remember, communicate is what? Communicate is sending and receiving the message and understanding it, right? And as I always like to say, and I throw this out in an interview any chance I get, communication is the act of sending and receiving and understanding information. And I always find it's crucial to listen to understand, not listen to respond, right? How many times have you been in an argument or a discussion and you go, well, I think, well, and then the other person's like, well, it seems that, right? So they're only listening to respond to you, right? It's about who can get the information out faster instead of listening, thinking about it, understanding it, then formulate your response, right? So send, receive, listen to understand, do not listen to respond. This is how you'll keep yourself out of trouble out on the street. This is how you will stand out in your interview for law enforcement, okay, is communication. Communication is key. Communication is huge. Communication is key in anything that you do living your life, even if it's with a life partner, all right? So anyway, that's it for today. Hey, don't forget, 5,000 subscribers, challenge coins coming out, all right? And don't forget, next level training. I'll put the discount or the website down below, along with the discount code InPursuit059. Get yourself a cert gun, get practicing. Practice that trigger press, your aim, your stance, your grip, everything. Everything can be practiced through dry fire. If you don't actually have a real gun that you can use to practice with, you can get one of these cert guns. They're awesome. Anyway, so we'll go more into that later. So don't forget, hit that subscribe button down below. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down if you have to. If you give me a thumbs down, please tell me why so I can make this better for everybody, including you, for the next video. And that bell notification will tell you when the next video is coming out. And as always, be safe out there.